What's up, YouTube? It's your boy here, Crawday23, doing a tier list that I was kind of interested in doing because I love Pokemon. And anyone that's followed my channel or knows me knows that I love Pokemon. It's probably, actually, I shouldn't even say probably, it is my favorite franchise, probably of all time. So I'm going to be making a tier list, and of course, it is the definitive, opinionated tier list of all the Pokemon games. And as you can see, before I even really got started, I put all the Pokemon games that I have not played in this section here. Technically, I played Black 2 for like a hot minute, but I really wasn't interested in it. But I don't count these games because I really didn't give, like these ones, I didn't really give a fair chance, and I didn't much care for Sun and Moon, spoiler. So I felt no need to get Ultra Sun and Moon. So that's where we're going with today. So we're going to start Generation 1, work our way up to Generation 8, and really just go from there. So Generation 1 as a whole, which was like blue, red, and yellow that came in North America, and I think everywhere else, and then obviously Japan got green, red, and blue. So as far as like where these go, I'm gonna put the entirety of Generation One, OG Gen One, in C tier. And the reason why is because they're the first game, so they kind of get like a pass for being relatively like basic. Obviously, the games are very glitchy. It's kind of what they're known for. Pokemon Yellow kind of improving like the sprites and other things like that to make Generation 1 a little bit more tolerable while also giving access to more Pokemon in the main game rather than splitting up certain exclusives like they did in Red and Blue. But ultimately, like these games are a novelty. Like they're fun to play every once in a while. Like every I'd say like year or so, like I play through Pokemon Yellow or I'll play through Pokemon Red or something like that, and kind of just get my fill for it, and then that's it. So I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that they're completely bad, given the generation stuff that they came from, or how old they are, but they're definitely not games that I would continue to go back to and continue to grind out and play. Generation two, I hate Gen two with a burning passion. Like I don't think these games are good at all. Every time that I play Gen two, I just feel like it's always a slog. I never really enjoy myself, and at least with Generation one, I can go back and play through and everything. I literally only played Gen two so I could play Pokemon Stadium two with some of the Gen two Pokemon that were pretty good that I liked. So for that reason, I put these just these set of games in D tier. I think they're just terrible. I am not a big fan of them. And again, if it wasn't for Stadium 2, I probably would have just like played through, beat the game, and then that's it. Um, Generation 3, Hoenn, first off, 8, like, actually, it's probably like that. So, like, Ruby and Sapphire, 8 tier, just really good games. Uh, Obviously, there's a little bit more story to Gen 3 than there was the two previous generations. The games were a lot of fun. The new Pokemon that they introduced were really cool. Emerald, obviously, just improving on that, giving us the battle tower type stuff. Actually, it's Battle Frontier, excuse me. And just overall, like, these games are just really good. The legendaries were sweet. The Pokemon that they introduced to the region were sweet. And besides, obviously, Too Much Water, the infamous meme of Gen 3, like, these games are just really cool, really fascinating, and I have very, very, very fond memories of playing Emerald and Ruby, and then later in life, Sapphire, and just playing through and investing hundreds and hundreds of hours in them, so they definitely get my nod of approval. Fire Red, Leaf Green, S tier. I love playing through Gen 1, like I said, very occasionally, like maybe once a year, I'll play a full playthrough, and that of Generation 1. Fire Red and Leaf Green are games that I continue to go back to even to this day. I even had a copy of Fire Red from when Fire Red was like first released, and I go through and I'll eventually add like 30, 40, maybe 50 hours of playtime on Fire Red just about every year up until it actually got ruined, which really made me sad because I had like something ridiculous of like 600, 700 hours just on Pokemon Fire Red. But they're just a de facto way to play Gen 1 and getting access to Gen 2, Gen 3 Pokemon mainly, and then some Gen 2 Pokemon, and then getting to play like Coliseum and Pokemon Gales of Darkness just to get access to some other Gen 2 Pokemon and even some other Gen 3 Pokemon. And just kind of getting to use them in those games and things like that. Like, just makes this probably the de facto version to play Gen 1. Definitely, like, if you're going to play either Fire Red, Leaf Green, or Red, Blue, Yellow, unless you're going off of pure nostalgia, like, there's literally no reason to play these ones if you have access to Fire Red and Leaf Green. Very, very great games, and they definitely belong in S tier, at least in my book. Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Gen 4, probably same thing. Like Diamond and Pearl. Diamond being another game that I invested hundreds and hundreds of hours in. Pearl that I've played to essentially finish the Pokedex for the game, or to get very close to completing the Pokedex. Because when I played Platinum, I basically replayed all these games again to try to complete the Pokedex. Platinum, the same thing as Emerald did for Ruby and Sapphire. Really improved. Diamond and Pearl, all the new like layout changes and stuff like that. The different Pokemon, difference to the story and things like that. I think Platinum is just a better version of Diamond and Pearl. I would personally play Platinum over Diamond and Pearl, but really playing any one of these three games to me is you're really not going to go wrong. I think they hit it out of the park as far as like what a tie-up game, essentially an Emerald version game, would look like for Gen 4. And the base games, Diamond and Pearl, were definitely home runs in my book. Aside from like the pacing of the games, which they were like incredibly slow, just from all the animations and stuff they added for moves. But really, aside from that, like these are just great games. Totally worth playing through again, and probably the number of times I played through Diamond and Platinum is insane. So definitely games that I recommend going back to and playing. So I hate Gen 2, but Heart Gold and Soul Silver were, to me, like they were fine. I really like the Pokewalker. Like that's probably my favorite addition for Gen 2 was getting to use the Pokewalker and stuff like that. I remember my one friend had a Pokewalker that he brought to school and stuff like that. I asked him where he got it, and he said that he got it from essentially buying Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So like I remember saving up money so I could get Soul Silver just so I can get the Pokewalker, and because he had Heart Gold, so it only made sense to for Pokedex completion wise and stuff. Obviously tying in with Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. Just some other improvements and stuff like Pokemon following around was fun. The region, like it felt a little bit more balanced, but of course it was kind of like the same, sort of kind of the same problem that I had with OG Gen 2, but the game felt better. I enjoyed playing Soul Silver and then eventually Heart Gold way more than I enjoyed playing Gold, Silver, Crystal. So definitely, and definitely a better experience than playing like these older Gen 1 games. So while Heart Gold and Soul Silver are probably my worst rated Pokemon games for like the DS era and like eventually the 3DS Switch era, still really good games and games that I would definitely highly recommend playing. If you're a fan of like Gold, Silver, Crystal, then you're definitely going to be a fan of Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Gen 6, X and Y. People hate X and Y. I love them. Even though the games were easier, and they definitely felt easier when I was playing because I didn't really have like the need to grind and things like that, and that was kind of something that I didn't necessarily like in some of these older games where I felt like I just had to grind way too much. And obviously like Generation 3, especially like Fire Red and Leaf Green specifically, kind of made it easier to grind because you had like the VS Seeker and you could just battle trainers that had like high level Pokemon that gave a lot of experience, and you could kind of grind that way, also get some money and things like that too, to make the Elite Four a little bit easier if you were struggling with it or didn't want to like necessarily go in with like over leveled Pokemon. Like you could obviously have items and heal up, things like that, PP stall, things like that. So X and Y are definitely to me they're really good games. Like the story obviously isn't that great. I definitely think the story could have been better. The characters probably could have been better, but for me, like the story not being all that great, just doesn't really it doesn't matter to me. I don't care if the story is uh, the Last of Us levels of like heart tugging on the heartstrings and things like that. To me, I more care about like the Pokemon that are involved, the journey, how smoothly can I play through the game, and what the game offers as far as like mechanics and things to do afterwards. And I felt like the Battle Mansion uh, was like fine, but not mind blowing. Like this would be the reason to like hurry up and play through the post game. But between like the Battle Mansion, the other different battle modes, Mega Evolutions, which was probably one of my favorite mechanics in Pokemon up to this point, just X and Y felt like a great game. You know, just the fact that you didn't have to really grind. You just play through the game. You get to play with the Pokemon that you want to use. Uh, the game, obviously, again, being easier, but being a lot more enjoyable experience as someone who just wants to play through the game and get to like playing like post game stuff and things like that, and just exploring the world. And being like the first 3D game just was to me is amazing. They're great games. Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, yikes, 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 yikes. So what kind of sucks about these, and they get to hang out with Heart Gold and Soul Silver, even though I think they're probably better than Heart Gold and Soul Silver. The thing that sucks about these games is probably the fact that they left out the Battle Frontier in Emerald. They added some sweet Mega Evolutions, which was pretty cool. Uh, Getting to travel in the back of Mega Latios or Latios, depending on what version of the game you had, to essentially circumvent having to learn Fly was kind of cool. And the game itself was really interesting. I like how they reimagined the region and things like that. Definitely making some updates to certain things, the story being a little bit different, and of course having the Omega and Alpha versions of Groudon and Kyogre were really sweet. Overall, I think it was a fine remake. Like it was obviously had its spots where it was great and other spots where they kind of dropped the ball on it. But overall, I think is like an above average remake. It's probably somewhere in between A and B. Honestly, like I think it's better than Heart Gold, Soul Silver, but I actually don't think it's better than Pokemon X and Y. Controversial opinion incoming. So really, like they were just fine games. Uh, Sun and Moon, unfortunately for me, like Pokemon Sun and Moon. Again, I'm not someone who cares necessarily about the story and things like that. And with like some of the cutscenes, like your character showing like a very much lack of emotion, it was a lot of hand holding. It felt like to me, a lot more than like X and Y and things like that. And again, really pushing this home, I'm not really a story person when it comes to Pokemon games. I could really care less what the story is. It's just not that great. Like I love the Pokemon, I love the region, things like that. But being like way too handholdy and like cutscene for me, not really caring about the characters all that much. Z moves were cool, but like they of like what generations 6, 7, and 8 introduced Z moves is probably like my least favorite mechanic of all of them. So while they're not bad games by far, I think they're probably better than Heart Gold and Soul Silver. If I actually had to put them in some kind of order, I think they're better than Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Probably not better than Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire to me. Uh, and that's just kind of how it is. Like, definitely got the 3D right with this generation. A lot better than like the essentially 9 grid or 8 grid movement that you got with the X and Y and Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. But again, just to me, like not really, you know, not super great, but definitely a game that I can live with and play through again if I really had to. Even like the legendary Pokemon, like the totems and stuff like that, those were really sweet. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, a reimagining of the reimagining of the reimagining of Pokemon Yellow. Basically, where you get a companion Pokemon. Of course, if you played Pokemon Yellow, you know that you get a Pikachu and your rival gets an Eevee. And I can't remember exactly. I think it's random what they evolve the Eevee into. And of course, in Let's Go Eevee, you can't evolve Eevee. But really, like, these games suck. Like, it's different from all the other Pokemon games because it is more Go themed, which obviously focuses on really catching Pokemon, and that's how you get a lot of your experience and like really how you grind in this game. It's just catching Pokemon, getting high chains of Pokemon, and leveling up that way. So I mean, as far as like a main series Pokemon game goes, it definitely misses the mark for me as someone who likes more of the battling than the catching and things like that. But as a sort of spin-off game, I think it does a pretty decent job. Finally, Generation 8 Sword and Shield. Uh, if these were just the base games, they would probably end up in like B tier. I think they would end up actually being below Sun and Moon, just for the fact that like the lack of like Pokemon. Like there's 400 Pokemon in the base game. Uh, there's a nice diversity of Pokemon. Like the story's fine. The characters I think are really cool. The game is a lot of fun to play with. Play through. The wild area is really sweet. I love the raid den mechanics, things like that. But as a base game itself, like it definitely is lacking in some spots. But with the DLCs, they actually gave the game a lot more replayability for that extra $30. So I mean, essentially it's like $90, but it's a game that I have almost 400 hours in at the time of recording this video, and just with the Dynamax raid adventures, the endless raid adventures, the ways to get all the legendary Pokemon and essentially box legendary Pokemon, the Tapus and like the genies, etc. Things like that, even like the Ultra Beasts and stuff, and you're able to shiny hunt that way, and it makes shiny hunting a lot more enjoyable while also essentially giving you like rewards and things like that for going through the adventures and stuff like that is really sweet. Isle of Armor, obviously adding some really sweet Pokemon that I think a lot of people like wanted to see return to the franchise, on top of just making it a lot easier to go through competitive battling, introducing a new legendary, which is really sweet. All those things in combination, like with the base game, definitely make this an S tier game. And if they would have released Sword and Shield like this fully from like the launch day, I think people would definitely agree that Pokemon Sword and Shield, even with the controversy surrounding it and the animation and things like that, just this game knocks it out of the park. Does a lot of the things that you want to see, and maybe it's just a Battle Frontier short. I think of being unanimously one of the greatest Pokemon games that we've seen in the franchise. But that's my tier list of all the Pokemon games. A lot of these definitely are more biased to me because obviously I'm not a big fan of Gen 2, but I will give it props where it does get some things very well. And as you can see, probably like the mid generation of like these Pokemon games and stuff are really where I probably spent like the most time. Like a lot of these games, like Fire Red, probably has 600-700 hours in alone before it got ruined. Emerald, I know, had like 200-300 hours. Pokemon Platinum had like 500, things like that. And that's kind of where, obviously, to me, like the easy metric is the more hours I've put into a game, the more that I probably enjoyed it. But let me know what you think. If you want to make your own tier list and share it with your friends or share it with me, whatever. I will link this tier list in the description of this video so that you can create your own tier list of essentially like your favorite Pokemon games and how good you think they are by your own metrics and things like that. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel to see more tier list stuff like this, more Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, cool stuff like that. I'm going to be trying to post about 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, so be on the lookout for all those sweet videos and things like that. And hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next video.